Okay, that's great. We can get started. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here to have a conversation about the NJ Rotary Initiative and to participate in shaping our future for our clubs and our district. We have 5 representatives on the steering committee. I serve as an advisor, and we have 4 members. District Governor-elect Bob, District Governor nominee Joe, AG and Learning Leader Kalpana, and President of Greater New Brunswick, Jeff, on the committee. Everything you're going to hear about today are all posted on our website, which we will point to as part of the presentation, including the recording for this morning's meeting. So I am going to turn the meeting over to Bob. Bob?
Thanks, Jeannie. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to share my screen here. We'll get started. Okay. All right. For some of you who have been on previous meetings, this will be a little bit of repetition, but I think it's background that's needed for those who haven't seen it, for why we're having this discussion today. This slide was presented to us in Toronto by the incoming Rotary president, Rotary International president, and it shows the trend of Rotary membership in various countries over the past 20 years. And what you see on there is that there's a number of countries that are in pretty significant decline, including the United States, Canada, Great Britain, and Ireland, Australia, and Japan. So old core Rotary countries that have been long supportive and long members of the Rotary community. On the opposite side, you see that there's good growth, significant growth, primarily in Asia, India, Taiwan, Philippines, Korea are highlighted there, but this is pretty much all over Asia. And a lot of the rest of the world is stagnant. When we look specifically at New Jersey, and this is broken down by the 3 districts in New Jersey, our membership here is down in the last 20 years about 40%. And that is fairly evenly spread across the districts. It's almost identical from district to district in terms of the decline over the past few years. Now, this is causing a lot of concern at Rotary, and it's also shifting the map for Rotary quite a bit, because the percentage of membership that is represented now in the United States has dropped from around 35% as little as 10 years ago down to around 25, 26% today, whereas Asia has picked up that a good portion, or if not all of that decline, and the membership overall in Rotary is shifting much more to Asia. So 2 things. First of all, Rotary would love to be able to get membership stabilized and increasing again here in the United States, but they also have to think about where they have their resources. And like any company or any organization, they have to put resources where there's growth. And right now that growth is outside of the United States and Canada, which has been a partner of ours as part of our zone, and something that is pretty much universal. Wherever you go in the US, you're going to see these trends. Wherever you go in Canada, you're going to see these trends. So Rotary needs to change. And like I said, like all organizations, we need to evolve to meet the needs of our members and our prospective members. And as a service organization, it's important for us to have an active and sustained team of trained, motivated, and able volunteers. And that's something that we're certainly losing right now. The good news is our district is in the position of being able to take an active role in this change, defining and implementing how it's done. And that's the purpose of this morning's meeting. For those of you who are not aware, this is the map of New Jersey broken out by the three districts. District 7490 to our northeast, and District 7505 to our south. And as you can see, our membership in 7505 is pretty much identical. We're about 1,750 members. District 7490 to our north is down under 1,000 members. They're in a little different position than we are in 7505 in that they've dropped below the minimum membership required by Rotary International to retain district status, which is 1,100 members. So back in August, September timeframe last year, just prior to our zone meetings and training in Toronto, we were approached by Rotary about getting together with the other two districts in Toronto and discussing the concept of New Jersey Rotary. All three clubs met there, and we agreed to collaborate on the study and formation of New Jersey Rotary, and that will include all of the Rotary clubs and Rotaract clubs in New Jersey. It will bring unified exposure of the Rotary brand across the state through improved use of social media and communication tools and better resources available to us. We'd be better equipped to provide support to the clubs with improved training and resources. And an important thing to note is that the day-to-day operations of the club, the autonomy of the clubs and their activity in their local communities will not change. The purpose of the district is to support the clubs, and the purpose of New Jersey Rotary would be to support the clubs. This is not a merger in the sense that it was when we merged early on, I guess about 7-8 years ago, when 7505 merged with another district down south. This was really the start of something new. It would be a new structure that we've been working on with the folks from our zone and from Rotary International, which is a team-based approach to leadership, more of a board approach rather than a single individual governor approach. And that's an important change. Starting from a clean slate, we'll be able to define what the organization should look like, and working together with the other districts, put together a structure that makes sense and really can address the needs of Rotary as we look to the future. If approved, and we'll talk about that process in a minute, the formation date would be July 1st of 2027. This is a change from our initial plan, which was talking about 2026, and there's a few reasons for that, which I'll also discuss. And as planned, New Jersey Rotary would be the largest regional group of Rotary clubs in North America. We would have close to 5,000 members and 200 clubs. All right, so for us, the proposed change requires a vote of our clubs, and that vote would be to approve an amendment to our manual of procedures. That requires a 30-day notice to the clubs. That was given on January 22nd. And we're looking to schedule the vote. The vote is scheduled for February 24th, so 20 days away. As Jeannie mentioned, there's now a New Jersey Rotary webpage on the district website, and I'll go through that in a minute for you. Voting would follow the protocol defined by Rotary International, which adjusts the number of votes per club by club size. And the voting would be done electronically. On the 24th, you'd have the opportunity to vote throughout the day. The votes would be recorded. The voting would be visible to everybody. There's nothing that'll be hidden or secret as the voting is tabulated. A report will be sent out that evening, and then we'd have a follow-up Zoom call to discuss it the following day. We are planning a live meeting on February 18th, and that'll be held at the Stony Brook Grill down right off of Route 78 near Branchburg. And we'll go into detail then. We'll be able to discuss it live face to face with you prior to the vote. We're getting short on time, but individual club presentations are possible as schedules allow if you want to have a discussion with your clubs regarding this. And here's the schedule. We've completed the notification. We had a virtual Zoom last week. This was Zoom today. The live Zoom on the 18th. The vote on the 24th. Results will be available on the 24th, and then a recap on the 25th. And again, our incoming president, one of his favorite quotes is, if we want things to stay as they are, things will have to change. And I know change sometimes is a challenge, but that's what we're facing. And we'll go through some of the details here, and we want to have plenty of time for questions and answers. So for all the information, if you go to our district website and you go under member information, you'll find a link to New Jersey Rotary. This link is a protected link. You need to log in before you can get to the page. But when you click on that, you'll be taken to the New Jersey Rotary page. As you scroll down, a lot of the information I just reviewed is on there, plus additional information. All the details on the procedure for voting is here, as well as the dates. And then over here, you'll find the links to all of the information that's required, links to the steering committee contacts, and links to register. And the recording of this meeting, as well as last meeting, will be posted here under the Q&A meeting recording, so you'll be able to access those as well. So again, one of the key things for us with regard to this is visibility, and the way we have it structured, all of the information is out there. So like I said, the process is that you'll be voting on an amendment to the MOP. That amendment is available there. It's all spelled out. This was also sent to you in an email about, well, when we notified you of the vote. And it talks about how this would be implemented. So with that, we will go to the important part, and we'll start to answer any questions you might have and have an open discussion. So
Bob,
anybody have any questions
Bob,
on the
the
process?
page you just talked about, I put it in the chat box so everyone can just copy and paste and go there.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, I have a question.
Yeah.
It's Dave Brodinger from Trenton Club.
Hey, Dave.
Are the other districts on the exact same timeline as we are for approval?
Okay, good question. So 7505 voted 2 weeks ago. They voted overwhelmingly to approve. 7490 does not have a vote because of their situation. They have to make a change to their structure. Rotary and all of the Rotary guidelines covering this are included on the webpage. Once a district falls below 1,100 members, Rotary International has the right to combine that district with other district or districts that are in the adjacent geography. So that's the position that 7490 is in right now. The current plan would be that District 7490 would be combined with our district on July 1st of 2026. And they would become District 7475 along with us. Joe Nastas, who is our district governor nominee, would be the district governor that year for the combined districts. District 7490 does not have a district governor nominee, so they would be working with us together. District 7505 would continue as is with their district governor chain. They have a district governor elect, a district governor nominee through to 2027. We would be forming or selecting the leadership for the new organization out of the 3 districts prior to the formation of the district. So the district governor chains that currently exist for the districts would be done with their terms, and through the nominating committee process involving the 3 districts, we would be selecting the district governor who would not be a district, the title would not be district governor. It would be president or something similar to that as we look to the formation of New Jersey Rotary. And that whole process is be done based on the Rotary International procedures. There'd be a nominating committee formed, and the nominations would come from the clubs of the 3 districts. And then there would be a nominating committee selection, and then those people would begin the process of training required to be able to lead New Jersey Rotary. Jim, you have your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Bob. Jim Foster from Madison Club. And Bob, I'll preface this by saying that this may sound kind of challenging, but I'm not challenging you. This is really directed more towards Rotary. I have 2 or 3 overarching questions or concerns. One is, this is obviously talking about a very substantial organizational change. If you go through the frequently asked questions that are available on the website, almost all of the questions about what this would mean are unanswered and to be determined. So we know it's a significant change, but there are very little detail in terms of how it would work. One overarching question is, the theme here is that this is being done in order to increase membership, but there is nothing I've seen in the documentation at this point to indicate whether and how Rotary has determined why membership is declining, and that this kind of change is a way to reverse that decline. Is there any background from Rotary in terms of why they think the membership has been declining and how this change would address that decline?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of reasons. Or a couple things here. So part of the reason for the change is that because of the decline, we have to figure out ways to do things, or Rotary has to figure out ways to do things more efficiently. Because of the shift of membership from the United States to Asia primarily, we will probably be losing a zone. And a zone, for those of you who don't know, is a collection of districts. The same as a district is a collection of clubs. We will be losing a zone in North America. That zone would be moved to Asia to accommodate the growth in Asia. Because of that, Rotary in the US and Canada is going to have to restructure their zones. And that's going to require restructuring of districts. So part of this process is driven by the need to address that from a very practical and fundamental perspective. And just again, for more background, this has already been done in upstate New York starting July 1st of last year. They combined 3 districts up there to form what's called now CNY Rotary, Central New York Rotary. And that is based on a similar structure to what we're proposing for New Jersey Rotary. The president of CNY Rotary has been part of the team that's been working on this, and we've been getting feedback from, her name is Lizzie Martin. We've been getting feedback from her, throughout the process. She's been involved since we started meeting in Toronto. So part of the reason for the proposal is that the structures are going to have to change to accommodate the membership decline. The reason that we feel and Rotary feels that this can help membership is because of the unified exposure of the Rotary brand across the state. Instead of having 3 districts doing their own thing, running their own websites and running their own activities, that becomes more unified under the New Jersey Rotary organization. The other big approach or change here is what I talked about in terms of moving to a team approach. Part of the problem that Rotary has right now, which many people believe has a negative impact on membership, is the turnover of leadership on an annual basis, the change that creates within the organization, and the fact that it reduces continuity from year to year, and sometimes reduces the coordination from year to year. So by moving to a team approach with a board of directors and board leadership, team leadership, you remove some of that up and down, change that you get on an annual basis. And we're starting to see clubs that are moving in that direction now because, as some of you know, we're experiencing it as we're going through our president-elect learning process with the new incoming presidents. A lot of clubs still don't have their presidents in place for next year. They're having a difficult time filling the positions, and they're moving to a team approach to share the responsibilities. So this would be something to help provide a model for clubs to demonstrate how some of this could be done in the future.
As I hear that, what I'm hearing is that administratively, Rotary thinks we need to change because of the amount of resources that would be dedicated to a shrinking membership base. I understand that. I'm still struggling with the idea that changing the administrative structure is a way of increasing membership. A couple of questions that go again to the comments in the description and frequently asked questions. There's a sense that the idea is that going to the New Jersey Rotary structure will essentially increase the bodies that are available for leadership and increase the talent available for leadership. And I'm not sure why that's necessarily the case, in the sense that right now we have leaders across 3 different districts. If we change and we have a different structure, how does that increase the number of leaders we have available? Same sort of thing with committees, in the sense that, take public image, for example. Each district presumably has a public image committee. Let's say, I'm just picking a number. Let's say there are 12 people on those 3 different, on those public image committees collectively. If we go to this structure, does that mean there are more people on a public image committee? Does that mean that there are more different types of people on a public image committee? I mean, I just don't see how changing the administrative structure necessarily means that we have more people to lead and more people with better talent to lead, but that's the implication of the documentation we've seen so far.
Well, I'll give you a tangible example. I was at the Essex Youth Exchange winter meeting last weekend. And I met there the young woman who heads Youth Exchange for District 7505. And she's fabulous. I had never met her before. She's young, she's energetic, she's able to communicate well with the schools, with the kids that are looking to be involved in youth exchange in that district. And she brings a wealth of information about social media, how to communicate with young people via social media, and so on. We currently don't have that resource in our district, nor does 7490. That's just one example where you find somebody in one of the other districts who can contribute in a way that bridges across the districts. We've got some young people in our district that we've met, over the past few months that are very knowledgeable about social media and those type of things that, and they're happen to be younger people that we believe could provide, significant benefit to how we manage those things. Currently, the three districts are doing something. I mean, they have similar looking websites. The format of the websites are all different. The information that's on there is different. There's varying degrees of competency with social media, that sort of thing. Those type of things could be pulled together with, a larger collection of talent. You don't necessarily need more people for those activities. You need better people. Where you need more people, obviously, would be in terms of working directly with the clubs. And one of the things that's been done in CNY is they've moved from the current assistant governor structure that we have to area representatives that are there to really be in close contact with the clubs. It's a different function that they provide, more support rather than governing or trying to manage things. And that kind of structure, I believe, would benefit us in the long run. Now, certainly we could do it in our district. We're probably ahead of the other two districts in some of these areas. Today, we're behind them in some other areas. But if you bring it together, you have a larger pool of talent to pull from to get the people that you need.
Okay. Last question, because I know other people have their hands up, and that is, to be honest, in our talking to prospective members within our club, I don't know that we've ever made a membership pitch which is dependent on the nature of the district. In the sense that people focus on what our club is doing, and they are aware of Rotary International and all the good that Rotary International does. So the district is really behind the scenes. So I'm not sure if we change from District 7475 to New Jersey Rotary, it changes our membership approach at all in terms of talking to new people. But I'll let that go, and I know other people have.
Well, just to comment on that, Jim, you have a unique club. So I think that, you're the largest club in the district. You're one of the best structured clubs in the district. You have resources available to you that most of the other clubs do not have. And the experience that somebody gets when they go to your club is very different than the experience they get from a lot of the other clubs. And you are correct that the district is in the background. That's where we belong. Our sole purpose is to support the clubs. That's the only reason a district really exists. And there's some clubs that need more support than others. There's some clubs that have come into, the 21st century and are making changes and all. There's other clubs that have not. And those are the things that we have to address. The club experience, without question, is the most important factor in determining whether a member stays or leaves Rotary.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Okay. Next, Lois.
Thanks, Bob. Lois Bott from Madison also. Jim actually just asked a number of questions that I had, and Bob, you did answer some of them. I guess my comment is still, I don't see how this is going to change local membership. I don't see how it's going to increase membership. If I were coming to an organization because I wanted to get involved in my town, I'm not going to go to a New Jersey-based website. I would go to more of a local. So I don't see that. And my other comment, because Jim did ask a lot of my questions and you did answer them. When you're talking about sharing resources, can't we share resources now? I mean, if you've got an expert in one area that's willing to go on a statewide Rotary organization, wouldn't other Rotary clubs be able to call them and say, hey, how do you do this? I mean, there's nothing against us creating shared resources at this point. And I'll just back up. I'm going to just get all my questions at once. I understand why 7490 has to merge, but I don't see why they just can't merge with us and leave the Southern District alone. When we're talking about group meetings, do you really expect someone from the top of the state, from the bottom of the state? Is everything going to happen in the middle of the state? I mean, I think there's some logistical issues here as well, unless everything's going to go to Zoom. And when we're talking about leadership roles, you're going to have a board, and it sounds to me in some ways a little more bureaucratic. And I'm concerned when we had some issues 2 years ago with our district. There are now a lot of tight controls on us. So if the organization is bigger, how are we going to really look at individual clubs at the level that you are now?
So first of all, one of the reasons that we get into trouble is because you have a reliance on one individual or a small group of individuals who make a decision that they run things. When you have a clear structure in place that's defined, that becomes less possible to do. It's more of a board type of a structure where you've got numerous eyes looking at things and managing things. And you work more on a consensus than you do on the strength of a particular individual and their personalities. And I think when you're dealing with a volunteer organization like we are, I think that approach makes more sense than what we have in place today. First of all, nobody can say with certainty that this is going to work as defined initially. I'm sure there's going to be changes. There's going to be modifications. The one thing that we know for sure is what we're doing today doesn't work. And we cannot continue on this trend. Because if we do, there's not going to be a Rotary organization in a very few years. And if we continue to try and do it Band-Aid wise, piecemeal, it's just going to prolong the agony rather than making some changes and looking to modernize the structure of the organization and how we approach things. And the clubs are key. We have to be able to deliver more resources, more training to the clubs to bring all of this together to reduce the differences that we have wherever possible between the large successful clubs and the small struggling clubs in order to provide a more unified image of Rotary across not only the state, but across the country.
So let me just follow up there. So you're really talking about wanting all clubs to be equitable, right? You want the Madison Club and the Chatham Club and whatever club to be on equal footing, with lots more training. So I understand where you're going there, but I'm not sure. I'm concerned that a whole statewide organization, or let me back up and reverse that, that a district with a smaller group might be better to do that than a statewide. So that's just a question. I'm playing devil's advocate here a little bit because I think that's important. And the second thing to follow up on your comment, if I get the board and the board consensus rather than one person, why can't the district be run that way instead of making it a whole state?
Well, we are going to be moving in that direction. I mean, we're moving in that direction now. Jeannie, Joe, and I have been working very closely together here over the last year and a half, 2 years, and we're going to continue to work closely together. I've announced in earlier meetings, I'm not taking on the title of district governor when I'm in office. I'm going to be the district leadership team chair, and we're going to approach things in a different fashion than we have in the past. And we're going to see how that works. And it's, in preparation for the changes that I believe are going to be coming. I believe that if we're on the leading edge of it, it's going to be a little bit of pain involved. We'll have to figure out some things, but it also gives us more ability to control where all this goes rather than have it thrust upon us at some time in the future. So
Okay.
I think that's an important consideration here.
I appreciate all that, Bob. And as I said, I think it's important for us to, all play a little devil's advocate. So we
No,
really
I'm
flush this out.
I appreciate the questions, and it's necessary. If everybody's here saying yes, 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 bobbing their head, that doesn't help anything. I mean, to Jim's point, the definition of where this is, what the exact structure and all is going to be hasn't been defined yet. And the reason for that is the goal here is to bring together these transitional action groups, the tags, with good people from around the district to be able to address some of the problems that we've had and also bring in new ideas that we can incorporate to help, move things forward. There's a lot going on in Rotary, not just at the club level, but at many levels that just are not addressing the needs of people in, the way lifestyle is today. And we've got to figure that out, if we're going to be able to attract these people and increase membership. So.
All right. Thank you.
Bob, we have some comments
Right, I'm sorry,
the
I can't
chat
find the hand.
box. So from Michael Hart, may we see the proposed bylaws? I'm assuming, Michael, you're asking not the amendment that we're asking all the clubs to vote on the 24th, but you are asking about the bylaws for NJ Rotary, correct?
That's correct. And do you have the sample bylaws from Central New York that we could look at and maybe imitate?
We do have the sample bylaws from Central New York. I'll post those on the website.
Okay, good.
But just the bylaws for New Jersey Rotary would be developed by the action group and the steering committee, and then they would be voted on by the clubs before they're incorporated, just like we have a voting process for our bylaws. That same process would be followed for New Jersey Rotary. So I'm not going to say building it from scratch. Certainly we're going to use, some of the foundations that are there, but the bylaws would be definitely new and specific to the New Jersey Rotary organization, and then voted on and approved or modified by the clubs through a process probably similar to what we follow today.
Could we also, I appreciate that you're planning to do that. So could you post the bylaws of the Central New York our current bylaws and the bylaws of 7505, so we could look at all three. Because I'm sure 7505 will want to incorporate some of their unique aspects into the state.
Yeah, I don't know if I have those, but I can get those. Our bylaws are already posted. They're under where is it? Member information.
Our bylaws are on the website.
Right, under district policies and guidelines. So member information, Rotary guidelines and policies, district policies and guidelines. They're on the website now.
Thank you.
But I'll post all of this on the New Jersey Rotary page, so it's easy for you all to find.
Pat Miller had a question, if you can go to Pat.
Oh, am I muted?
Nope.
Can you can hear me?
Yep.
I wish I could come up with good reasons, but for some reason this plan sounds like we will be diluted, and I don't quite know what I mean by that. But what I'm wondering is, I think certainly we need change, but change doesn't always mean progress. And in my understanding, this came up so quickly. Why not consider studying the clubs? You said Madison is one, and certainly we are successful and work hard at it. But what about studying the clubs that are and why that's working? To make this such an enormous district, number one, I don't think that's going to bring us closer. I know there are many people, I'm one of them, who has more trouble driving at nighttime. So I don't think we'll go the distances. But I'm struggling really hard to hear why this might advance our individual clubs' membership. And I really would like to hear it. I can't make that jump. Thank you.
Well, I think, and Jeannie, Joe, please, weigh in here. I think the responsibility for increasing a club's membership is the responsibility of the club, not the district. What the district's responsibility is to provide you all of the resources that you need to accomplish that, and the training that you need at the club level to accomplish that. We can certainly provide leads and that sort of thing, which we do today. But the overall exposure of the Rotary brand in the state would be one of the primary benefits that would come out of this, so that there, potentially would be more interest in Rotary and more people aware of what Rotary is and what it's doing, rather than the district approach that we have today. I mean, first of all, there's no magic to the district. The average Rotarian doesn't know our district number, probably doesn't know what the district does. Non-Rotarians certainly don't. They have no clue. The goal would be to get the Rotary brand out there, and there would no longer be a public district number. There would be a back-end district number for the computer system, but we would be functioning under New Jersey Rotary as a brand, not under District 7475 or 7505, which is a meaningless thing to the average person out there. They wouldn't be going to the District 7475 website. They'd be going to NJ Rotary website. And that's really one of the public-facing differences that would be made. And the working on the resources and the training, it would also, we would still have to have regional meetings, because to your point, I live in Blairstown. I probably wouldn't want to drive to Cape May for a meeting on a regular basis, but it would give us the ability to put together larger district conferences. We're already starting to work with 7490 on RILA. We'd have the opportunity to expand that to the current 3 districts, youth exchange and other areas where there could be cooperation. Could it be done today? Yes. I tell you, I'm working with 7490 on RILA right now, it's cumbersome because the communication is two-step rather than one step. We've got to get two groups of people, engaged and involved rather than one group. And it's not necessarily an easy process. So.
To Bob's point, I mean, we're really the best kept secret in service organizations. And I think with a larger, more visible group, it will give us more visibility in the state and around us. More people would know about us, and they could point to one website, one group, one area representatives or district leadership group for answers and support, rather than it being sort of fractioned. And though Lois was wondering, why couldn't we work with the talent in other organizations, but we don't know who they are yet. And I think by becoming familiar with the other members of the other districts, we'll find those talented people and hopefully incorporate them into our team approach.
Thank you.
Robert.
Bob Greenwald, Hanover. Two quick questions. One, is there anything in the structure or the design you're talking about to address the possible problem of smaller clubs that have less of a personal tie to the district leadership getting lost in the shuffle, just in the sheer number of clubs? And the second thing is, I think that the assistant governor position is very important, that they're a real key link between the club and the district. What prevents this just being the same district governors working with the same clubs, sort of status quo after the change? Because as you pointed out, we're not going to have an excellent district governor in Morristown working with a club that need help in Cape May. So those are the two concerns I have.
So I'll answer that from the perspective of CNY Rotary. CNY has moved to an area representative approach. They have probably more area representatives than they had assistant governors. The function is very similar in the sense that it's there to be the communication from the club to the district, but it is much more focused on the communication aspect of things and making sure that the clubs are aware of what's going on and have, again, the resources that the district is providing are being delivered. Right now, I hate to say, but I think our assistant governor structure is very fragmented. We have, it's working well in some areas, it's not working well in others. And it's something that we have to look at any level, even at the existing district level. To your question about the discrepancy in clubs, again, the clubs are autonomous and it should remain that way. You have some clubs that are well run, you have some clubs that aren't so well run. And a lot of that has to do with training. Some of it has to do with attitude, but the goal here is to improve the training and improve the accessibility, that the clubs have to better information, better delivered, more resources available online, much more exposure in social media and the areas that can help drive membership. And I believe that that's one area that can definitely be done better if you're bigger rather than if you're smaller. The talent to do that type of thing, the talent to be creative and create compelling content, that sort of thing is not universal. I don't have it. Other people do. They can write, they can do graphics, and those are the type of skills that we need to look for. And we don't need 6 of them. If we've got one group, we need 1 or 2 of them to be able to do it. And hopefully that filters down to some of the clubs that are struggling today to get membership and to retain members when they do get them. Joe?
Thank you. Joe Cavone from Robbinsville, Hamilton. First is, let me just say thank you, Bob. Thank you to the entire team for all you do. This is a massive undertaking. So I give you props for taking this on. I have some comments and I have a couple of questions. I've attended multiple sessions now, so it's interesting to me to see how each group has almost its own personality in the direction this is going. It appears to me that we have two problems. Problem number one is that District 7490 does not have enough members, and they have to be absorbed into ours. And I think that problem has been addressed. Okay, so then problem number two is we have an overall decline of membership in the United States, and here specifically in New Jersey. If that is the problem to be solved, then perhaps the objective or the strategy is that maybe we need to look and do a deep dive on membership, on why it is declining and how do we fix it on the root level, on the club level, because that's where we gain membership. There's a theory that from marketing that I subscribe to, and that is you test a little and you learn a lot. It seems to me that this is almost a little reversed, and that we're taking on this, we're trying to eat the whole apple in one bite, and that by adding more people, we're going to grow, or I should say by adding districts, we're going to grow. So that's my comment, and that is my concern. I do have this question, though, which I think is more important. This to me is being almost top down, pushed down from Rotary International. That's where this idea came from, I believe. I don't know if any club came up with the idea we need to have a statewide district. But two questions, or two scenarios. Number one, we're going to vote on this, and whatever my club votes for, I will cast the vote in that area. But what happens if this is rejected by the clubs? What happens? Number one. Number two, if it's approved, what is the strategic plan going forward? How are we going to implement this? So that's really my question. If this is rejected, the clubs voted down. What happens? We're going to take another vote a year from now? Or are we going to just say, okay, we don't want it and we're going to move on? Or what happens? Are we going to be an area again? Is there going to be a problem? I mean, so I don't know. I don't know what that means. So if you can answer that, I would appreciate it. And anything else that I said that you feel I would appreciate as well. Thank you.
Sure. So first of all, if we vote against it, the Rotary policy is that it's our choice. The only time Rotary can force a change on a district is in relation to the situation we have with 7490, where their membership is dropped below the threshold. Rotary, in their policies, has the ability to force 7490 to combine with one or more districts, and the districts that are determined to be the receiving districts of the clubs have to accept those clubs. They have no choice. But other than that, for a district that is healthy, Rotary does not have the ability to change the district's geography. That's why we have the right to vote on this. That's why 7505 had the right to vote on it. If we vote against it, we would be able to continue as we are for the foreseeable future. I believe that there's going to be probably pressure for us to have additional votes, with additional time down the road. But I can tell you that there's been there's no plan at this point for what happens if we vote against it. If we vote for it, the plan is clear in that we would form the transition action groups to begin working together between the three districts to put together the bylaws and formalize the structure for New Jersey Rotary, and that would be done, over the next year and a half to be ready for 2027. The first steps would be to select leadership because the Rotary training process for a district governor or whatever the title is, but somebody that's going to be the primary person for the district takes 2 years to complete. And that process is a pretty well established process right now. And it requires, going to the zone training for 2 years. It requires going to the International Assembly for a week, which we all get to do, all the district governors coming in next week, and other training in between. And that process needs to be followed before somebody could be qualified to take over as president or whatever the title becomes of New Jersey Rotary. So that would have to start now. The other thing that has to start right away is youth exchange, because we work out a year, 2 years in youth exchange because of the school years in selecting students and that sort of thing. So there'd have to be cooperation on that almost immediately to begin that process. The action groups working together to define the manual of procedures and all. The estimate is that process would probably take 6 months to a year to complete. So that would be going on as we're running the district as it is today. So
Bob, if I may, go to the chat box. I think some of this, it's very, they are actually related to exactly what we're talking about here. So I'm going to go to the Patricia's first, because that's exactly what we just discussed. Yes, RI does have the right to undistrict us, but that's it happens if I misbehave, mismanage this year, or Bob does something of that sort next year. It has to be because of some mismanagement, or we're doing something that's not according to the RI policy. So yes, but I don't think the chance of that, it's probably unlikely this year and next year. We have a question going back to, so Barry had a question with the proposed team leader approach. Has that been defined? I think Bob answered that already. If this were to be approved by all the clubs, the transition action team will be doing all that work to define the structure, define the process. How will the board of this new structure be selected, and what is the term of office? Bob, do you want to take that, or do you want me to?
you can speak to it.
Okay, well, it's all based on what the transition, the TAC action group will define. So basically, it's to be determined. The next one is sounds like we are patterning this after Central New York. After 7 months of operation, their membership is still in decline. Yes, we did ask that question at our steering committee meeting. As we all know, changes are being made. This is relatively new. So I don't think we have the data one way or another to say whether or not this is successful or not. So this is yet to be seen. Bob, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think, what we know is that they are the districts that were brought together under CNY are definitely working together. There is more of a team-based approach to things. That part of it appears to be working. creating that change within people, within the structure and organization is going to take some time. And that's one of the reasons, another one of the reasons why the formation of this was put off another year, to allow more time for the development and all, to make sure some of these things are worked out prior to the inception of New Jersey Rotary, and to make sure that the leadership structure and all is in place prior to the organization coming together.
Related to that, Barry asked the question, we are currently getting the best membership support and advice by paid professionals from RI, and yet membership is in decline in the US. Why will, I think Barry meant NJ Rotary, make any difference over what we have today?
Well, again, I think we've discussed, I think the thing that's being looked at here is, will having a unified brand across the state, of one organization working, to present the Rotary brand to the public, will that make a difference to the perception of Rotary within New Jersey? The bet is that it will. Obviously, the results will depend on what happens when it gets done. But that is one of the primary benefits that we've talked about in terms of all this coming together, is to have a unified Rotary brand rather than the three districts out there. There was a question, would the New Jersey Rotary overtake each individual club's website? Absolutely not. Again, the clubs are independent. What we have to do as Rotary, whether we do it as New Jersey Rotary or as District 7475 or whatever, is get more cohesiveness among the clubs so that there's more unification of the brand and what Rotary means. Right now, it's on a community by community basis. And in some communities, it's a great brand. In other communities, it's not. And, that's the reality of it.
And also, I would like to add to that, we can look at growth two ways, right? By growing individual clubs, by adding more members to our existing clubs, or if we look at the areas where they experience the most amount of growth in other parts of the world, it's because they're growing new clubs. So we need to work on both. And with the more support and dedicated effort at a larger entire state level, the probability to grow new clubs with all the stuff that we already talked about, better public image, better publicity, and all that may help us in the area of growing new clubs. So that is a dimension that we currently are not experiencing right now. Richard asked a question regarding websites. Will the NJ Rotary overtake each individual club's website? The simple answer is no, but do we want to expand on that, Bob?
Well, that's what I just talked about. The goal here is to get more unity of the Rotary brand. We don't currently have that at the club level or the district level. And to create it at the state level, the belief is that will benefit both Rotary in the state, and it'll benefit the clubs in the state, because there's more exposure of the Rotary brand in a cohesive manner rather than fragmented as it is today.
This is Lauren Carpenter from Somerset Hills. This sounds like a good idea to me. I'm on that side of the fence. I'm in another organization that has a statewide New Jersey organization name, right? And I think a cleaner, more modern brand would be very helpful. to our organization and hopefully help us grow our membership. I know we have a lot of membership growth resources. We're trying, but just a cleaner, more modern. I think the district thing is archaic, and the public who is not in Rotary doesn't understand it, and it doesn't attract Rotary members. So I think the idea of New Jersey Rotary is very appealing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, this is Dave from Trenton Club again. I just, one point and then a question. In the early years of being part of our district back in the 80s, we used to have statewide meetings. And I can tell you, for those who are new, who were not around at that time, having a New Jersey Rotary would allow us to do that, I think, more. And we used to have meetings in New York City where we could get the best keynote speakers, guests, potentially to become Rotarians. I think there's a real benefit to that. Secondly, one of the biggest issues I think we have as Rotarians and as Rotary clubs is we are, as was mentioned earlier, we are, Joe said, the best kept secret in New Jersey. And the fact is, people do not know, even to this day, what Rotary does in the communities and who we are. And I hope that Rotary is committed to put more resources into promoting what Rotary is, both in New Jersey and across the country, because once people know who we are and what the Fellowship of Rotarians is like, they want to be part of it. The reality is we don't tell them, and nobody knows who we are.
Jim, you have your hand up?
Yeah, this is just a factual question. Looking at 7505 compared to our district, my gut sense is that there are more clubs in their district, but generally smaller clubs. Is that right?
We're almost identical in clubs and in membership. There's a few they might have 76 or 7 clubs as opposed to our 74, but it's within 3 or 4 of each other. And the membership is within 10 or 20 of each other.
Okay, and is that generally spread across the clubs evenly, in the sense that, I know that in our district we have a few clubs that are relatively large, and we have a number of clubs that are relatively small. Is that true of 7505 as well?
7505 has, they've got, I mean, they don't have a club down there that is as big as like Madison, but they probably have more clubs that are in the 30s and 40s in terms of count than we do.
Okay, all right, thanks. Just curious.
One question here from Michael Hart. How does the club elector register to vote? The votes, of course, we encourage all the clubs to discuss their decision at the club level. All the club presidents will get a notification prior to February 24th to cast their votes online. The voting method for the club presidents are not any different from what they had to do last time in November, where they approved last year's financials. So it's the same process. A link will be provided and they can go there and cast their votes. Michael, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and the number of electors, of course, it's part of the documentation posted under the NJ Rotary page.
Any other questions? All right, well then, thank everybody for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time this morning to join us. We had 26 people join, so it's a good turnout for a early morning meeting, and we appreciate that. We hope that you can make it to the live meeting on the 18th. It's a good restaurant. We'll have some good food, some fellowship, and we'll be able to talk through this face to face prior to the election. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of the members of the steering committee. I'm going to be at the International Assembly next week. The schedule is packed, so it may take me longer than normal to get back to you if you contact me, but we're all available and willing to help. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.